Have you ever caught yourself thinking that I always mess up or nobody cares about me? What if I told you that these thoughts are not only negative but it's also inaccurate? Welcome to today's video. We are talking about cognitive distortions or thinking errors. Now, these sneaky automatic thought patterns that wrap up our perceptions of reality. Uh, if you have ever, felt trapped in negative thinking, or you fight with anxiety because of those negative thinking, this video is for you. Uh, and my name is Devopam, and I am a qualified professional counselor. I'm done in my master's in psychology, and throughout my experience, I have, whether it's a field of mental well-being, whether it's professional counseling, I've worked with many individuals and they struggle with all of these thoughts, and that's why I want to help people understand how to understand these thinking errors, how to correct them, and how to apply them in day-to-day life so that you can help yourself at a very basic level. Of course, if you have a bigger issues or problem, you need to go to a professional counselor, contact somebody. However, what is that basic level of defense that you can do to fight all those things? That's the primary motive. So stay in this video till the end, because I'm going to share you what you need to do, the action items to fight those. Now, what are thinking errors? Thinking errors are actually these impact our emotions and decisions. Like they're just like in interactions. Imagine a student, right, who gets one bad grade, or not poor marks, right? Poor marks, and he or she concludes that, "Oh, I'm a complete failure," right? Or somebody who is a professional and got into a boss's reply or a manager's reply, and which was not really good enough, right? And they think, "Oh, I'm going to be fired," and start getting anxious. Now, these are faulty thinking patterns. These are the problems, right, which we see in this world, and in turn, these are like mental, and this disturb our mental and emotional well-being. If you see it from neurological point of view, our thinking patterns and emotions influence our brain chemistry, right? We dwell on negative thoughts, and that brain releases our stress hormone, like cortisol, which is not only bad for making feel us anxious and overwhelmed, but it also encourages, if we have good thoughts, right, it encourages serotonin or dopamine, which makes us feel good. Now, the thoughts and emotions, and it impacts a lot how we feel and how we behave. For example, it can even influence pituitary gland. It influences thyroid, right? Cortisol is known for its problems, right, where it can even impact your heart health, right? So the how we think, and how we feel determines our, not only our mental health, even our overall health from that perspective, right? So it's very important that we take care of it. Now, there are a lot of thinking errors. There are a lot of cognitive distortion that are there. However, we are going to focus on 5 major one, and then if we need, we can create more. But these are the 5 major one that we would talk about it today. First, we'll understand what these are, and then we will go to what can we do to take care of it in day-to-day life. The first one is all or nothing. Now, that's we generally, in a very common language, we call it white and black thinking. So, for example, somebody scores 85% marks in an exam, right? Now, that person would think, "Oh, I did not get 90%. So it's a failure. I'm complete failure because I did not get 90%. So it's like this end, right? Or it can be otherwise around as well. Somebody got 40% and they go, "Oh, I did great," right? So it's all or nothing. So that means either, and this is a very common phenomena, especially with people of, I would say, who are trying to make their name, who are struggling, who has immense pressure from outside and society. They set a bar for themselves, right? And they create a self-image, and they think if we cannot go there, we are just not good enough, right? So, for example, if I've come across many people who who have created a fictionary self-image for themselves, who is perfect, right? Who is, for example, if I talk about me, I might create a self-image of somebody who is doing, a video like a pro, but which is not the case, right? I'm just learning and trying to share. I don't have equipments, I don't have a team or something like that. I'm just recording and doing it. Now, if I think that, oh, I'm not really going to that level, so I'm not doing really good. I do not get views. I do not get, and that's it, right? I get stuck in that mindset of all or nothing. So we have to see things in perspective. So whenever you see such perspective, this is called all or nothing, or black and white thinking. Now, the second one is, which is very common again, is overgeneralization, and I have seen it many times with many people, in friends and family, right? Where whatever it is, we'll just overgeneralize. Like, for example, if I don't get a job, I go for an interview, I do not get a job, what I say, I'm not good enough for the job. Now, I do not think, oh, this interview did not go along, did not go, good. So for me, there are scopes of improvement. I don't think like that. What I would do, I would, in overgeneralization, if I'm doing, I would start thinking that I have a problem, and that's why I'm not getting any job. Forget about this job, I'm not getting any job for that matter, right? So that's the overgeneralization. For example, one of my friend, who got ghosted on their on the first date, right? And that thinking, oh my god, I'm not gonna find anyone in my life ever again. So that's a kind of overgeneralization that we go through, which is again common, problematic. However, it is something that we can understand, when we are doing the overgeneralization, and that's the hack that we would see later on. How do we identify that, and how do we course correct, right? The third one is mental filtering, which is again very common. Now, what happens here is, and there are multiple things around it, right? I mean, somebody can talk about cognitive bias, confirmation bias, with mental filtering. However, mental filtering is a phenomena, which is an error, right? I'm not talking about the causes. There are multiple causes for it. However, it's a phenomena where we only focus on the things that we want to hear, whether it's negative or positive, right? So, for example, if I have an understanding that I'm a very eloquent speaker, right? And when somebody is giving me feedback and they just talk about few things, or you speak well, and I'll just listen to that. And after that, when the other person was giving me more feedback, for example, or you should use better grammars, better vocabulary, your sound system was not good enough, I would just completely ignore those stuff and only focus on, oh, look, I'm a eloquent speaker. So what happens, I'm filtering those data, filtering those things, emotions, which I need to hear, and I have already decided. And I'm just hearing somebody, if somebody receives a compliment, for example, somebody is going there in an event and well dressed up and feeling insecure, the moment somebody could get 80% of very good feedback, oh, you look good, and all of a sudden somebody comes and okay, what happened to you, you didn't dress up well. That's one comment. They'll filter that one comment and just get upset, right? So that's called mental filtering. I'm not talking about the causes. I mean, there are multiple causes which we can talk about later. About that's a thinking error or cognitive distortion, right? The fourth one is catastrophizing, and again, we are very generally we do that every time. We are very famous for it, especially in if you are from Indian middle class family. We catastrophize everything almost, right? We have heard such kind of things in our household since childhood, where for example, somebody does a very small thing, will just make it a large thing. If I am having a chest pain, and I'll start, oh my god, I'm having a panic attack, or oh my god, I'm having a heart attack, right? Without even realizing what's happening, right? If somebody fails an exam, oh, nothing is going to happen, you are going to open a tea shop and be there, something like that. Somebody who's from Indian background, they would realize that these were the things that they used to catastrophize. And not only in these, if you see in general our thoughts, if we do a simple presentation error, and gets caught, and somebody else catches it and say, oh, you did not do it well, the next thinking, okay, the manager would now think that I'm not really competent, and they're finding a lot of errors in my presentation. So maybe the next time, whenever the company needs to fire somebody, I'll be the first one. Now I have, catastrophized it to a huge large extent, and just again creating that level of anxiety. The last one, which is personalization, which is again, it's like very common, right? Where we start taking things which is not really directed to us, so we do personalize it, we over personalize it to some time, right? For example, if somebody calls, that, for example, if I'm a parent, because I'm a parent, I can really relate to it, right? If the child is irritated, right, my child is irritated and not doing something, I'll blame it on myself. Oh, because I'm not doing good enough job, that's why my child. So there's nothing everything there is in this world that I cannot control, right? So but I'm personalizing it because it's my fault, so I'm taking that fault, right? If somebody, we are just, and it might have happened with you, when you go and talk to friends and somebody is in bad mood and they say, oh, because of me, I said that, I cracked that joke, and that's why probably their mood is off, right? There could be multiple reasons other which would have upset my friend, but I just think like, oh, I upset him, right? So these are the personalization. And not only that, if we talk about something indirectly, for example, if somebody comes, it's good for people who are overweight to walk, right? And I'll say, oh, that person made a comment on my health, because I look fat, he's asking me to go and walk, right? So now that's what is over the personalization is, where I'm personalizing things which was not directed to me, and that would trigger a bad mood, that would trigger anxiety, and that would eventually take me to a state of depression, right, if I don't interrupt and don't correct it. So if I have to summarize, how would I summarize? I would summarize by saying that when we think, we have the separate kind of distortions in our thinking, or error in our thinking, and because of that we actually impact our brain chemistry, and that actually impacts our mood, our feel, even our health, not only mental health, even our physical health, right? So what can we do? The next section is very important, because this is something that we have to understand very clearly, and that can, you can help yourself. The first one is to recognize this thought pattern. So whenever this happens, stop, take a pause, ask a question: is this something, a thinking error? Is this, am I on the right direction, right? So you have to start noticing those, and see, okay, this is a thinking error. Once you have done that, once you've taken a pause, you have to challenge those thoughts, like, is it really true? Am I over personalizing? Am I generalizing, right? Is it an all or none thinking? What is it? I mean, you will challenge yourself, right? And in that scenario, when you challenge, you will try and reframe this situation. When you reframe that situation, you are trying to think it from a different lens, and now, because you are aware, you are much better equipped to handle that situation. Once you have done that, the fourth part is to practice this mindfulness, to be aware, right? That is more important. And I do not talk about how do you want to practice mindfulness. I mean, you can do it whichever suits you, but for me, mindfulness is just being aware where you are, what you are doing, which is a very tough thing to do, right? There are many people have different ways to do that. Somebody does yoga, somebody runs, some people just sit in silence. It could be anything, but mindfulness is just being aware of that presence, right? And then if still it bugs you, I would highly encourage you to go and seek professional help, right? And that would really help you in a longer run. And let me tell you, there is nothing more supreme than taking care of mental health. So thank you so much for coming here. If you have found this video helpful, really don't forget to like and subscribe the channel, which will help me to post more related videos, where we can talk about how can you help yourself in taking care of your well-being and mental health. Till the next time, thank you for watching our video. Until the next time, bye bye. See you.